Absolute Superman issue 4, which is Jason Aaron writing, with Rafa Sandoval on the art. This is, I really liked the last issue that was all set in Krypton, but I'd kind of like when I started reading this one, I was like, oh yeah, we didn't even see like the present day Earth stuff.
Nope.
All the last issue, so it was actually kind of nice to get back to that.
And this does the flip of that, where this is all Earth stuff.
It's all it's all Earth, and it's all from the perspective of Lois, who's trying to track down Superman, and it very much feels like a sort of play on, the birthright thing, where as a journalist she's going around like speaking to people that Clark has helped. She's kind of doing that here, but under the new context of being one of the peacemakers for the company.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting framing of this. The other thing this issue does is set up that there's one slightly more crazy peacemaker who we later learn is actually the Peacemaker from regular DC, because they say he's named Christopher Smith. But yeah, he seemingly even goes to the Brainiac computer and says, hey, I got kind of unhinged. I think I'm worried I'm going to hurt people. I need therapy. And the computer's just like, no, your weapon malfunctioned. You're good for duty. We're going to send you back out there.
How prescient is that right now when we're dealing with AI and the state of the world and algorithms that Jason Aaron throws that in there like, no, this isn't just going to make him more unhinged. Because you got to think this was written months ago,
I mean, I'm not even convinced that this is entirely a computer that they're talking to.
No, but he thinks it is, right?
Yeah, he thinks it is, yeah.
Right. So from the framing of that is that, this is an algorithm. Because let's say even if Brainiac, there is a human in there, he's been corrupted by the data and whatnot, right? That is Brainiac. So yeah, just the fact that he's trying to be like, hey, I don't feel right. There's something wrong. And this algorithm's like, no, go back out there, kill some people. You'll feel fine. Again, for something that was written months ago, it's oddly prescient now.
Yeah, so you've also got Lois disciplining some of the peacemakers for being rough with the civilians, all that stuff. A big thing as well is that she calls her father, and Sam Lane's surprise, Sam Lane's a bit of a prick because he's always a bit of a prick.
Shocker.
We see that he's lost his legs on this reality, and he's got these like sort of like metal limbs that come out of his chair that he puts on so he can walk around.
Lieutenant Dan, you got new legs.
Yeah, but he's trying to warn Lois to not be friendly with the locals, that it's dangerous for her, that the Omega Men will come. They tell a whole story about how he lost someone who also believed that being peaceful and getting to know the locals was a good idea, but he ended up getting captured by the Omega Men and killed on camera. And Lois points out that he showed her that video when she was 12. So, yeah, tough love here from Sam Lane. They tease the Omega Men a bit more as well, and obviously we go a different direction, but that it turns out that maybe some of this is propaganda, and that they're actually not this evil group that everyone's worried about.
Yeah, and so the fact that they said that they couldn't, you couldn't hear a lot of what they were saying over the bandsaw, right? It really painted a grim picture of the Omega Men. And yeah, so I was like, oh man, maybe this world just has various, varying degrees of bad groups vying for control, right? And the Omega Men are just as bad as Lazarus. But after a meeting with one of the Omega Men, I'm not too sure.
Well, yeah, because, as Lois is walking through this market, she sends she's been followed and sort of pulls a little bit of a switcheroo and holds the guy up that was following her, notably with ginger hair. So
weird.
Yeah, immediately I was like, okay, so this is the Jimmy of this world. That's what we're doing. It's confirmed later in the issue, but as soon as he popped up and I saw that hair, I was like, okay, all right, Olsen, who are you here?
Yeah, and looks roughly to be around the same age as Lois, right? So they're not doing the younger type Jimmy that's gonna look up to Superman like a big brother,
Maybe a bit younger. He seems like maybe, she's maybe in her mid-30s, he's maybe like in his mid-20s kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have a bit of a fight. He's trying to get her to listen and say, hey, we're not what you think we are, that kind of thing. And it's actually another member of the Omega Men who shows up with a big shotgun who becomes more of a danger. Whoever this is a woman with long dark hair. I suspect it is going to be someone that's revealed later that we understand and know, just based on the fact that we're teasing some details but keeping her a secret. But she's going by Omega Prime as part of the group in the same way that
Primus,
or
like
Primus.
the band.
Yeah, later. Yeah, she says. Because Jimmy's going by like what, Omega Alpha or something like that.
As Alpha, which that's the logo on his mask, is the Greek writing out for Alpha, and then she has the Omega, right? Which, I'm wondering how much this has to do with Darkseid, because that's usually his symbol.
Oh, of course,
and stuff. So,
I mean, yeah, even from the start of the creation of this world, all these Omega symbols popping up, but obviously we're making us think of Darkseid. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite panels of the issue, is that reveal of this Omega Prime standing there with the shotgun. It's just, the blast of the gun going off is very colorful, really pops with everything else, because the outfit's very muted colors. It's like a muted, like very slight green and with black, and then you've got this bright orange flash of the muzzle going off. It's really good stuff. And of course, the Peacemakers who were told to stay back by Lois hear the gunshots and immediately are like, let's go running. And amongst them is Christopher Smith. Feels weird to just call him Peacemaker, given that they're all technically peacemakers here, but that's what he is.
Right. But I mean, he's been singled out where none of the other ones have.
Which makes it, I think as soon as they started calling all these troops peacemakers, I think the initial question I think we all had was, okay, so one of them presumably is the Peacemaker, and we'll see, if he stands out or does something. And yes, seemingly he does. I mean, the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is very much him. Like, we kind of don't see it. We just get the aftermath of, like, after Superman's been and gone, the cliffhanger at the end is that he has mowed down an entire, like, street of civilians. Super dark, super big deal. So, I mean, and the weird thing is he tried to ask for help thinking he was going to do something bad. So there's, like, a weird little bit of sympathy you can have for him. Where you're like, he tried to warn people that he wasn't feeling right in the head. I mean, I'm not saying you can feel that much sympathy, but you can feel a little bit at least.
No, but it makes him a tragic figure, right? Because it's turned him into a monster. Just opening fire into these groups of people.
Basically freaks out in the the heat of the battle or the heat of the the crisis and does this. It's just when Lois is fighting off Prime here that the red mist starts to appear and they realize, oh wait, Superman's showing up, because at this point some of the civilians have been calling him Superman. Some of the people who have been saved by him are referring to him as that. This Superman, even they're throwing the then in there just to make it a bit more.
You kind of skipped over the opening pages where it's Lois interviewing these people from different communities.
Well, I essentially was talking to him. I didn't really go into much detail.
Yeah, but they just go into basically he shows up like this god, and it gives them something else to believe in, because it gives you the framing that Lazarus and other entities among this earth have just ravaged these communities, and so it's these people talking with hope, and like he's a sign of better things. And they're all in different languages, right? Everything. There's the editor's notes that it's from different, like there's one guy from Lakota, from a Native American reservation, and then all these other people from across the globe.
Yeah, I think every single person is speaking a different language.
Yeah, and it just shows this unifying aspect of hope, and like he came and helped us, but he showed us that there is another way out, that we don't just have to do what they say. And he feels like he has to save this earth. And once we know about the stuff from Krypton, what we think we know about Krypton, right? Every decision that this Superman is making feels informed by that one, because he's helping these marginalized communities, get the help that they need. Because on Krypton, it feels like they were just kind of left to their own devices.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think that's inaccurate. I don't think it's even the left of their own devices. I think they were actively held down in their place.
What I mean is, like, when he found when Jor-El found the arcs that were meant for the upper classes,
Oh, sure, yes. When the time comes, they'll be abandoned, yes.
Yeah. So, and that he sees a lot of, his class in all of these people, and he wants to be that person. So I really like those couple pages.
Yeah, when Superman shows up, Omega Prime immediately starts to kind of like try and say, hey, Superman, we're on the same side, we can fight Lazarus together. And the funny thing is that because Jimmy has said, hey, Omega Men's not what you think it is, Lois, I think you should switch sides. Like, I'm inclined to think that, yeah, they probably are mostly good, or at least have better intentions than Lazarus. Yeah. That said, though, I don't know if it's going to be a case of, oh, they're just truly completely good and Superman should side with them. It feels like it might be a bit more shades of grey than that, where maybe Superman will inspire them to be a little bit better if they allow him to. But, he does obviously single out Lois and says, you've been looking for me, stop it. And she's like, I want to talk. He's like, I've got nothing to say to you. So yeah, of course, Superman uses his freeze breath to freeze all of the peacemakers, and Lois is left standing there, and he even has a little joke where she says, I hope this hurts you idiots for coming in here guns blazing.
And and I like that as Superman flies off, it's Jimmy that gets the photo.
Yeah, just not his phone, but it's like a nice little touch of like him getting a photo of Superman. Yeah, and then he gets slapped like Robin when Robin asks about the parents at Christmas.
Is that the origin of that that meme?
As far as I know, the original is something about spending Christmas with parents, and then Batman slapping Robin and saying, "My parents are dead." Yeah,
because that's one of my favorite ones to meme out. And then just by itself is the Moon Knight where he's yelling at Dracula that he owes him money. Those are my two favorite reoccurring comic gifs. So I didn't know the origin of that Batman one.
Now, admittedly, I've never actually seen the original comic, so I can't confirm for sure if that is what the original panel said, but I feel like that's the original version I've seen before it was edited with other, quotes and stuff. But yeah, she slaps Jimmy and says, imbecile, this is your fault. And Jimmy is adamant that Lois will still switch sides, that she can still be convinced. But yeah, there's some hope there. But yeah, the cliffhanger, as we said, is all the civilians that have been gunned down by Christopher Smith Peacemaker. So yeah, and they do a little touch here on the art where you can tell it's him at all times because his helmet's damaged. He's missing one of the eye bits, so you can always see one of his eyes. Which is just smart, because otherwise he would just look the exact same as the other dudes in the same outfits. So, smart touch there in the art. So, yeah.
I'm enjoying the restraint that Aaron and Sandoval are having here with the Superman stuff. Like, it's not too much. Because, like, in here, Superman's in, like, only a couple pages.
Yeah, I like that a bit, especially since after last issue, which I know we were on Krypton, so it's a very different context, but I kind of like that Superman was being kept away from us here for most of the issue. So no, I am digging this quite a bit. I think once again, like the way that red is like not used too much, other than maybe a bit of the Peacekeepers outfits, makes the red of Superman coming in really punchy. There's so much red on those pages when there's just his red mist cape is just everywhere around the panels. It's really good, and you can maybe even correlate it and say the reason why the one other thing that we're constantly seeing red in is the Peacemakers is this idea that they're both forces that are here to impact everything and maybe not fight per se, but they're both influences that are trying to sway the balance of power on the Earth. Other than that, I think the art is really solid. I think this is some of Sandoval's best work that I've seen at DC. It's just simple things. I would say every page is amazing. Like the page where Christopher Smith is talking to the computers, like his face is a bit scratchy. Maybe feels a little on the rush side. Looks a little not as bad. Let me make it clear, not as bad as this, but certainly seems a little bit more towards something like a John Romita Jr. type face. But it's only just one or two panels of an example of that. Otherwise, though, like a lot of the mood as Lois is going around in this like sort of city market or whatever, all the stuff with Superman showing up is really big and bold. Like the art has been impressing me on this. It definitely feels like Sandoval's best work that I've seen.
I would agree there. All the colors and stuff are very drab, right? So when you have these big action moments and the color not heats up, but the color really takes over.
Yeah, it's more muted until you've... Like, it was kind of what I was saying with the shotgun blast, is that everything's quite muted except that blast, which is very vividly orange and bright. Same when Superman shows up with all the red and blue.
was gonna say with the cape and whatnot, like it adds a whole different vibe to everything else. So it really shows the presence of these action sequences.
Yep, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are you giving Absolute Superman?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5. I think I'm happy with the 8.5.